For decades, the price of silver was the same everywhere. London, New York, Shanghai, arbitrage kept them aligned within cents. Then on one day, Shanghai spiked to $71 while COMEX stayed locked at $69. A $2 gap that should have closed in seconds stayed open for hours. Western banks didn't step in. They couldn't. The physical metal doesn't exist. What you're witnessing isn't a price move. It's the system admitting it's been running on paper the entire time. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the largest bullion dealers in America went dark, why Mexico's biggest silver mines declared force majeure, why China stopped exporting the metal entirely, and why the algorithms that suppressed silver for 40 years turned against their own creators in a single trading session. This isn't about silver. This is about the moment a 50-year financial architecture collapsed in real time. Let me show you something that's never happened in modern commodity markets. On the Shanghai Gold Exchange, silver hit $71.57 per ounce. At the exact same moment, on the COMEX in New York, silver was trading at $69.12. That's a 245 spread. In a functioning market, that spread exists for maybe 30 seconds before arbitrage traders close it. Here's how arbitrage works. If silver is $60 in New York and $71 in Shanghai, banks buy in New York, ship to Shanghai, sell for $71, pocket $2 per ounce minus shipping costs. It's free money. And because it's free money, hundreds of traders do it simultaneously. The New York price rises from demand. The Shanghai price falls from supply, and within minutes, they converge. This mechanism has kept global commodity prices aligned since the invention of telegraphs in the 1800s. Gold, oil, copper, wheat. Every traded commodity on Earth follows this pattern. Price divergence triggers arbitrage. Arbitrage eliminates divergence. It's automatic. It's mechanical. It's the foundation of the global market. Except on this day, it didn't happen. The 245 spread didn't close in 30 seconds. It didn't close in 30 minutes. It stayed open for hours. And then it widened. Shanghai kept climbing, while New York stayed frozen. By mid-session, the gap hit $3, then $4. The arbitrage that's supposed to be automatic, effortless, guaranteed profit, it vanished. Why? Because arbitrage requires one thing above all else. The physical commodity must exist and be movable. You can't arbitrage a price gap if you can't get the metal. And on this day, the banks that have run the silver market for 50 years discovered they couldn't get the metal. Let me show you the evidence. JM Bullion, one of the largest precious metals dealers in the United States, went offline. Their website showed out of stock on 1 kilogram silver bars, 100-ounce bars, and even pre-1965 silver coins. Not limited availability, not delayed shipping, out of stock. Completely. COMEX, another giant same situation, their inventory page showed zero availability on wholesale silver products. For context, COMEX typically holds millions of dollars in inventory. They supply coin shops, private investors, and institutional buyers. They don't run out. JM Bullion suspended new orders entirely. Their homepage message, due to unprecedented demand and supply chain disruptions, we are temporarily unable to fulfill orders. These aren't small retailers. These are the backbone of the American physical silver market, and all three went dark on the same day. Now, here's what should terrify you. These dealers didn't run out because retail investors bought everything. Retail demand was high, but not unprecedented. They ran out because their suppliers, the refineries, the mints, the wholesalers, had nothing to sell them. The supply chain didn't slow down, it stopped. To understand why the metal vanished, you have to understand what China did 6 months before this day. In late 2024, China announced a policy shift that received almost no Western media coverage. The government issued new regulations requiring all domestically mined silver to remain in China. Exports were effectively banned, not officially, but through licensing restrictions so stringent that export became impossible. Why? China is building the largest solar panel manufacturing infrastructure in human history. The new generation of solar cells, called TOPCon technology, requires 20% more silver per panel than the previous generation. And China is producing 85% of the world's solar panels. Do the math. China produced 450 gigawatts of solar capacity in 2024. Each gigawatt requires approximately 1 million ounces of silver. That's 450 million ounces of annual demand just from solar panels. Global silver mine production is 880 million ounces per year. China's solar industry alone consumes over half of global output. And that demand is accelerating. China's goal is 1 to 800 gigawatts of solar capacity by 2030. If achieved, Chinese solar manufacturing will require over 1 billion ounces of silver annually. That's more than total global mine production. So China made a decision: keep every ounce mined domestically, stop exporting, and start importing aggressively from every available source. The Shanghai Gold Exchange became the mechanism. Chinese state banks began bidding up physical silver, creating a price premium over Western markets. The message was clear: we will pay more than New York. We will pay more than London. Send us the metal. And the metal flowed. From Australia, from South America, from refineries in Switzerland that had supplied Western markets for decades. It all redirected to Shanghai. By early 2025, China had accumulated an estimated 600 million ounces of physical silver in state reserves and industrial stockpiles. For context, the entire COMEX registered vault, the silver that's available for delivery to futures contract holders, held 47 million ounces. China had amassed 12 times the deliverable inventory of the entire New York Commodities Exchange. And they weren't selling, they were still buying. This created a structural problem for Western banks. For 40 years, they'd sold silver futures contracts on COMEX under the assumption that physical supply was infinite. If a contract holder demanded delivery, the bank could source metal from refineries, mints, or other dealers. But now the refineries were selling to China. The mints couldn't get feedstock, and the dealers had empty shelves. The assumption of infinite supply was revealed as a lie, and the lie was about to detonate. Mexico produces 23% of the world's silver. It's the largest silver-producing nation on Earth. The Fresnillo mine, operated by Fresnillo plc, is the single largest primary silver mine in the world, producing over 50 million ounces annually. In January 2025, Fresnillo declared force majeure on its delivery contracts to American refineries. Force majeure is a legal term meaning unforeseen circumstances beyond our control prevent us from fulfilling this contract. It's the clause companies invoke during wars, natural disasters, or government intervention. It's rare, it's serious, and it means deliveries stop immediately. Fresnillo cited two reasons: chemical supply shortages and labor disruptions. Let's start with chemicals. Modern silver mining uses cyanide-based leaching processes to extract silver from ore. The chemicals required, sodium cyanide specifically, are produced primarily in China. In late 2024, China restricted exports of industrial chemicals, ostensibly for environmental reasons. Mexican mines couldn't get the chemicals. Without chemicals, they couldn't process ore. Without processing, there's no silver output. Fresnillo's production dropped 40% in 3 months. Then came the labor issue. Mine workers, facing inflation and stagnant wages, went on strike. Negotiations failed. The government stepped in, siding with workers and imposing temporary production halts at multiple sites for safety reviews. Whether these events were organic or coordinated is irrelevant. The result was the same. Mexican silver production collapsed, and Mexico supplies 20% of the silver that flows into COMEX vaults. By February 2025, COMEX registered silver inventory had dropped to 32 million ounces. For context, open interest in silver futures contracts represented claims on over 900 million ounces. That's a 28-to-1 leverage ratio. In a normal market, most futures contracts are settled in cash. Only 1 to 2% of contracts demand physical delivery. But if even 5% of contract holders demanded metal, COMEX wouldn't have enough. The exchange would default. And everyone in the market knew it. For decades, silver trading has been dominated by high-frequency trading algorithms run by bullion banks. These algorithms serve one primary function: suppress volatility and prevent price spikes. Here's how they work. When silver starts rising too fast, the algorithms flood the market with sell orders. These aren't backed by physical metal. They're paper contracts, futures that the bank has no intention of delivering. The sudden surge of sell orders overwhelms buyers and the price collapses. This is called spoofing or layering, and it's technically illegal. But enforcement is rare, and the practice is widespread. The algorithms have kept silver range-bound between $18 and $30 for over a decade, despite industrial demand growing 40% in the same period. The algorithms are programmed with technical levels, resistance points, where the price historically stalls. If silver approaches $30, the algorithm sells aggressively to push it back down. It's mechanical, predictable, and has worked flawlessly for 15 years, until the day it didn't. On the morning of the decoupling, silver in New York opened at $67. It had been climbing for weeks, driven by physical shortages and rumors of COMEX inventory problems. The algorithms began their usual routine, selling into the rally to cap the price. But this time, the buying pressure didn't stop. For every sell order the algorithm placed, 10 buy orders appeared. The price didn't fall. It accelerated. Silver hit $68. The algorithm sold harder. The price hit $69. Then $69.50. Then it hit the daily limit, the maximum price move allowed by COMEX rules. Trading halted. This is called limit up. It happens when buying pressure is so extreme that the exchange stops trading to prevent panic. In theory, trading resumes after a cooling off period. In practice, limit up is rare in silver. It had happened only twice in 40 years. When trading resumed 15 minutes later, the algorithm faced a decision. Its programming said, sell at resistance. But resistance had been shattered. The technical levels it relied on were gone. So the algorithm did something its creators never anticipated. It switched modes. Instead of selling to suppress the price, it started buying to cover short positions. The bank that had spent years betting against silver was now forced to buy silver to avoid catastrophic losses. This created a feedback loop. Algorithm buying pushed the price higher. Higher prices triggered more algorithm buying. Other banks, seeing the move, panicked and started covering their shorts too. Silver spiked to $71 in Shanghai. New York stayed locked at $69 because COMEX trading had halted again. The algorithms that were designed to control the market had lost control, and the banks that ran them were hemorrhaging money. Here's what most people don't understand about commodity markets. The price you see on financial news isn't the price of physical metal. It's the price of a futures contract, a promise to deliver metal at a future date. COMEX silver futures trade 200 million ounces per day. Actual physical silver in COMEX vaults, 32 million ounces. The paper market is 6 times larger than the physical market on a daily basis. Over a month, it's 50 times larger. This works fine as long as nobody asks for delivery. Futures are settled in cash 98% of the time. The buyer sells the contract before expiration, pockets the profit or loss, and moves on. The system depends on this behavior. But when physical shortages hit, behavior changes. Investors stop trusting paper. They demand metal. In February 2025, delivery requests on COMEX silver contracts spiked to 8% of open interest. That's 4 times the normal rate. And COMEX couldn't fulfill them. The exchange issued notices of delivery delays. Contract holders who demanded silver were told they had received cash settlement at the futures price instead of physical delivery. This is technically legal under force majeure clauses in COMEX rules. But here's the problem. If you bought a silver contract at $69 expecting delivery and COMEX pays you $69 in cash instead, but physical silver is trading at $85 on the spot market because there's none available, you've been robbed of $16 per ounce. And that's exactly what happened. While COMEX settled contracts at $69, dealers who still had physical inventory were selling silver at $78, $82, even $90 per ounce in private transactions. The premiums were catastrophic. The SLV ETF, the largest silver exchange-traded fund in the world, faced redemption requests it couldn't fulfill. SLV holds 450 million ounces of silver in trust, theoretically. But the metal is held by custodian banks, not in a vault that SLV controls directly. When investors tried to redeem shares for physical metal, SLV invoked a clause in its prospectus. The trust may, at its discretion, settle redemptions in cash rather than physical delivery. Translation, you're getting dollars, not silver. The paper market had decoupled from physical reality, and the holders of paper assets, ETFs, futures, bank certificates, were learning that their claims on silver were worthless in a shortage. What happened next wasn't a market correction. It was a wealth transfer from west to east, from paper holders to physical holders, from financial institutions to industrial buyers. China continued bidding up physical silver in Shanghai. The premium over New York reached $5 per ounce, then $8. Chinese state banks offered contracts with clauses guaranteeing physical delivery, no cash settlement. Sellers who had metal sold to China because China paid more and actually took delivery. Western banks, unable to source metal, were stuck. They owed silver on futures contracts they'd sold. They couldn't deliver, they couldn't buy, because supply didn't exist. Their only option was cash settlement and hope contract holders accepted it. Many didn't. Lawsuits were filed alleging fraud and market manipulation. The cases are still ongoing. But the outcome is predictable. COMEX will settle for cash. The paper-silver market will continue, and the disconnect between paper price and physical price will widen permanently. This is the new structure. 2 silver markets, one in the West, based on futures contracts and ETFs, where price is determined by banks and algorithms. One in the East, based on physical metal, where price is determined by industrial demand and scarcity. If you hold paper silver, SLV shares, a bank certificate, a futures contract, you own a claim on a system that cannot deliver. If you hold physical silver, bars, coins, bullion, you own the actual asset that industries need and cannot get elsewhere. The divergence will accelerate. China needs 1 billion ounces annually for solar panels. Electric vehicle manufacturers need 60 million ounces for batteries and electronics. 5G infrastructure requires 30 million ounces for components. Total annual mine supply, 880 million ounces. The math doesn't work. Demand exceeds supply, and the deficit is growing. Western financial institutions spent 40 years convincing investors that paper and physical were equivalent, that you didn't need to hold metal because a contract was just as good. That delivery was always available if you wanted it. That lie died the day Shanghai hit $71 while New York froze at $69. The decoupling isn't temporary, it's structural, and it's accelerating. China has already locked down domestic silver supply. Other nations will follow. India, the second largest silver consumer, has discussed export restrictions. Russia has prioritized domestic industrial use over exports. As each nation secures its own supply, the pool of internationally tradable silver shrinks. The COMEX and LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, become increasingly irrelevant. They'll continue publishing prices, but those prices will reflect paper contracts, not physical reality. The premium for physical delivery will widen. In 2025, it's $5 to $10 per ounce. By 2027, it could be $20. By 2030, physical silver may not be available at any price in Western markets, regardless of what the futures price says. This has already happened with other commodities. In 2022, nickel experienced a similar decoupling. The London Metal Exchange suspended trading when prices spiked 250% in a single day. Contracts were canceled. Deliveries were impossible. The market broke. Silver is following the same path. The difference is silver's role in technology. Nickel can be substituted in many applications. Silver cannot. Solar panels require silver. Electronics require silver. Medical devices require silver. There is no substitute that matches its electrical conductivity and antimicrobial properties. Industries that depend on silver face a choice: secure supply now at elevated prices, or risk not having supply at all. Many are choosing the former. Long-term contracts with miners, direct purchases of physical inventory, vertical integration into mining operations, and retail investors who understand the situation are doing the same. Physical silver purchases have surged 300% since the decoupling event. Mints are rationing sales. Dealers are requiring deposits months in advance. The people who waited, who trusted the paper market, who believed the banks when they said supply was infinite, they're the ones who'll be priced out. Shanghai hit $71. New York froze at $69. The arbitrage died because the metal doesn't exist. The algorithms turned on their creators. The ETFs admitted they can't deliver. And the paper market decoupled from physical reality. This isn't a silver story. It's the story of every financial system that runs on promises it can't keep. Spain's silver empire collapsed when the metal ran out. Britain's gold standard collapsed when the vaults were empty. The petrodollar system is collapsing now for the same reason. The asset backing the system is no longer controlled by those who issued the claims. Silver is just the first domino. Copper is next. Lithium, rare earths, every commodity required for electrification, every metal essential for technology. They'll all follow the same pattern. The West financialized them. The East is physically accumulating them. And when the decoupling comes, paper holders learn what willy holders already know. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. So here's the question I'll leave you with. When the next commodity decouples, when the paper price freezes and the physical price explodes, will you be holding paper or metal? Subscribe if you want to see the patterns before they're obvious, because the next decoupling is already forming, and this time it's not silver, it's something bigger.